everybody, James with Love My Pups, My Breeder Supply. So, I've done a lot of videos on timing your AI based on number of days in heat, blood color, progesterone levels, so on and so forth. So I want to talk specifically about some things that I see happen quite a bit, and I've not really talked about them, and in fact it just happened to me today, so it kind of prompted me to do a video on this. And it's to do with progesterone levels that don't show this nice rise and will get you fooled, and because of that you're likely to lose the breeding point and result in no puppies or a small litter. So first off, let's just talk about what you'd expect to see normally, and then we're going to talk about what I do see on a fairly regular basis, especially in younger dogs. All right. The y-axis is progesterone level in nanograms per milliliter. Remember that if we're in Europe, we're doing this in nanograms per mole. And to get nanograms per mole, we multiply this by 3.18. So remember, if you're in Europe, your nanograms per mole number will be significantly higher. So you've got to multiply by about 3. So a dog that would be ready to be bred on a 15 in the United States on nanograms per milliliter would be more like a 47 if you were doing it in nanograms per mole. All right. So in America, we count day 1 as the first signs of blood. That's day 1. And we do our first test typically around day 6, and we expect the numbers to be something around a 2 or 3 possibly. Nothing much happens till about day 5. That's why we don't do progesterone. Well, your vets might want to, but there's no point doing a progesterone test in this first 5 or 6 days because the number's just going to be too low to be meaningful. It won't help you much. So I recommend your first test something between day 6 and 8. If the blood color has gone light, then you might want to do it earlier, and that's exactly the situation that I'm going to tell you about here in a moment. But normal dog, ovulations around day 9, the progesterone level would be a 5, the blood color at this point will start lightening up, and then it will take a rapid rise where it's going up about 70% every day. If it's a 5 today, it's an 8 tomorrow. If it's an 8 today, it's a 15 tomorrow. It's a 15 today, it's a 25 tomorrow. It takes a sharp rise. And we want to be breeding for a vaginal AI on about a 15. And for most dogs, that window is something around day 11 to 13, approximately. So that would be a vaginal AI right there, vaginal AI. Those of you who are doing surgicals and TCIs, it's going to be a day later than that window because we want to do those on about a 25. So this is about a day later, and that would be a transcervical or a surgical AI. And the reason we do those later is because the semen does not have to travel up the vaginal canal to get to the eggs, and that takes a day. So we do this a day later. And why is this window important? Because if you do it too early, the eggs have not dropped down from the oviducts down into the uterus, and it takes a couple of days after they've been there for the eggs to be mature enough to be able to be fertilized. So there we go. So most dogs, we're doing a TCI or a surgical on 25, and we're doing a vaginal on about a 15. And if you translate those numbers to, this is nanograms, if we're in nanomoles, we're in Europe, this is like a 47, and this is like a 80. All right. Okay, great, wonderful, all good. We know what we're doing, we're happy. Here's what the problem is, and I see this quite often in dogs that are between a year and a half old, but I do see it in other dogs too, and that is that rather than looking like this, it looks like, we're just going to get rid of all this now. It's all wiggly woggly. So we've got a dog right now, her name's Kiki, a beautiful dog. And here we go. So she's actually at our daughter's house, and Chanel said, oh, it's been about day 6, but her blood color's gone light. So it's like, oh, you need to go get a test done. Because maybe she ramped up we've got a wedding going on, maybe she missed the first portions of the heat and didn't realize that she'd been in heat for a few days. Either way, we'll do a test. So we did a test, and we found that she was at a 7. So she was actually up here. She was at a 7. There's our first test at a 7. That was yesterday. And we're having semen shipped in for this. So it's like, okay, it takes a day for the semen to get here. She's at a 7 today. She's going to be ready to be bred approximately tomorrow. So let's go ahead and get the semen shipped. So the semen arrived today. And one would expect this dog, based on the fact that we'd expect that this dog would be around a 15. That's where we think the dog should be, right there. Did the test, and where was the dog? It was right here. It was at a 3. So it went from a 7 to a 3. So there's no way we're breeding on a 3. So the problem gets to be is lots of you are going to the vet, you're getting a progesterone level done, and the levels, like me, is a 7 or 8, and the vet's saying, oh, we need to breed the next day. And we go ahead and order the semen, it comes in, and we breed the dog, we don't get puppies. And the reason we didn't get puppies is probably because the dog went the wrong way. And so if you look at what Kiki's doing, Kiki's probably going to be doing this kind of thing. And then it'll start going up. So we've got to breed her on a 15, and we're not there yet. So what do we do in these situations? Well, we've already had the semen shipped, so that could be a problem for a lot of you because you're not using my shipping system. But if you are using my shipping system, the good news is that semen can stay in fresh and in good shape in your refrigerator. It was shipped early. You didn't realize it was early, but you can stick it in a refrigerator and keep it in there for about 5 days. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're now at like day 7. She's at a 3.5. She'll start rolling up on her numbers. So we're going to test. So when should we do the next test? Generally, numbers that are 0 through 1 are the first 5 days. Not much is happening. Then 1 through 5 are the next 4 days, and you can see it's going up approximately 1 point a day till 5 ovulation. And then after that, it goes from 7 to whatever we want to breed over about the next 3 days. And we're going to do our vaginals or our surgicals based on what the numbers are. So I'm kind of getting a bit confusing I'm not explaining this very well. But the point here is, it's super important that when you've got your first progesterone level down and you think you want to have semen shipped, I highly recommend that you do another progesterone test to make sure you're in the right place. Because if you're not at a 15 or higher, you want to keep that semen for a day or 2 until you get to those numbers. So what are we going to do with Kiki? So let's just put up what her numbers are for Kiki. She was at about day 5. We tested her, let's say call it day 6. Day 6, she was at a 7.49. And today, day 7, she's at 3.49. So what am I going to do here? Well, the answer is she's completely clear on colour. She's clear. So that's a problem because there's no indication there. Normally blood colour gives you an idea about what's going on. So because of that, what are we going to do? Well, I don't think this is going to rise up to a 15 in 2 days. So I'm going to test again on day 9. So that's what we're going to do. We'll test again on day 9. And if the numbers are at a 12 or higher, we'll breed. If the numbers are less than a 12, we'll test the next day. And we'll keep on doing that until we get it to a 12 to a 15, and then we'll do our first breeding. And then what we're going to do is we're going to call up the stud owner and say, hey, can you ship again? That gives him another day to get it done. And we'll do another insemination 2 days later. And then we'll test the numbers again. And we want to see the numbers being above a 22. So we want to see it above a 22 when we're finished. And then we know that we're up in this region. We know we're in the right place. So the point about all of this is that you really do need to do another progesterone test. A progesterone test that shows either a 5 or a 7 is not potentially good enough. Most dogs it'll be okay. 20% of the time it won't be okay. You'll end up with a crappy litter, small litter, or no litter at all. So just make sure that you're doing that secondary and third or fourth test as necessary. And of course, what's the solution to this? Go get our progesterone machine. That's the solution. It cost me $9 to do a test, takes 15 minutes. I do have to draw some blood, it's pretty easy to do. 15 minutes later I get the results. And so in this situation, the semen went straight into the fridge. It's in our canister, it can stay in there for days. We're perfectly good with that. If we bred it today, we would definitely not get a litter out of it. So there you go, that's it. Thanks for watching, bye. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate people who subscribe to me. It helps me, encourage me to do more of these videos. But do remember, disclaimer here, I am not a vet. I'm not a licensed medical professional. I'm purely a person who's been breeding dogs for the last couple of decades. Any information that you got from this video, use at your own risk. There's nothing implied here, and certainly this should not be used as a substitute for advice from your veterinarian or your medical professional. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for more of them. Bye.